Hello and welcome to Cracked Open, a podcast guiding you on your journey to becoming a vessel of unconditional love. And this is your host, Bec I, High Priestess, Channel, and Activator. Join me on this series as I share reflections, insights, and channel transmissions from my journey of walking the initiation path. Each episode is a unique transmission containing supportive frequencies to facilitate the deepest healing, activation, and reconnection with your soul. I invite you to open your mind and set the intention to receive this episode into your heart space. Let's go. Welcome back, beautiful souls, to another episode of Cracked Open. I am here with Dr. Allison JK. We are both so lit up and excited about this episode. Our drop-in was insane. Yes, welcome, Allison. Welcome. I had the absolute honor and privilege of meeting Allison in Mexico at a conference we were both facilitating at the end of the year last year, and there was instant resonance for me. I stumbled upon one of her workshops, and I was receiving all sorts of crazy, crazy ass initiations and activations, and I was like, this is my woman. So I had the pleasure of having a one-to-one with Allison after that. She so graciously gave me her book, which I've been reading, so I can attest it's a powerful transmission. So I'm going to officially give you a little bio about who this beautiful woman is. She is definitely a master. I can say that 100%. For more than 25 years, Dr. Allison JK has practiced as a mind-body energy healer, founding the vibrational upgrade system and working in yoga, meditation, qigong, energy medicine, mind-body fitness, longevity, and holistic health with a specialization in the chakra system. Considered one of the leading experts in her field, she has taught around the world and has written 3 books, the award-winning What If There's Nothing Wrong? 4 books. Okay, that needs an upgrade. She's written 4 books. I have one of them, and I have another one on my phone that I've started reading, which I think is The Reasonable Dragons, How to Activate the Field of Possibilities. And then the one that I have next to my bedside table is The Dragon Master Creatrix, Conversations with a Female.
Dude, a hawk just flew right by my window.
A hawk. That's amazing.
Yeah, a crow is about 10 feet away. I've been looking at that, but a hawk just flew right by. Wow. Sacred blessing.
Yeah, we're gonna have, guys, this is gonna be magical. Like, our drop-in was magical, so we're gonna just cut all the bullshit, like, who are you, how'd you get here, and let's just riff. Let's get in there right now, because I know we've got some transmission. So I'm gonna hand it over to you.
Wait, let me just say something about you.
Yeah. Okay,
you guys,
come on, let's
check
go.
this sister out, man. I'm in Mexico City. I'm giving my talk. She's sitting in there waiting. I come in. She's in the second row. Bam! I notice her right away. She's like the anchor in the room, and it's just like it kept making me go higher. And like we were at a certain conference that I would have to keep going higher, but I think between Bec and I, it was a dance. It was like, go higher. And then Bec would take it down. She'd be on the earth, like taking it down, doing stuff to bring it down and help it facilitate and be anchored. And I go higher. And then it was not coordinated with us. This is the first time we've been talking out loud like this about it. We talked about it afterwards, but not like realizing what I just realized. Like I was bringing it down and she was anchoring it. And so I know, Bec, I didn't want to say this while we were talking, so I wanted to wait for the podcast. But right before we hopped on together, I was answering an email that is coordinating for the retreats coming up that I'm leading the trip to Avebury. So we're talking about sacred sites. We're talking about grid work. That's the largest stone circle in Europe.
I do my buddy.
It's incredible. I love it because you can get right up to the stones. Screw, God bless Stonehenge, but at the same time, I've gone there twice, taking my students there twice. I've been there more than that, and I've taken my students to Avebury like, I don't know, 20 times, like probably more than that, because you can hug there. It's just so much more. So yeah, I didn't even honestly clock as I was getting ready for our, I don't want to call it an interview, our time together.
Our co-creation.
Yeah, our co-creation. I didn't even clock the memory of like how much you had just come from other sacred sites, and when you're sitting in my chair during the one-on-one. Yeah, and you were talking about the sacred sites, so that's pretty marvelous. I love the synchronicities.
Yeah, and I'm writing a book as we speak, which is why I was like, everything you were saying, I got really emotional being seen in that way, because a lot of the work, and I know you do this too, which is like, just all the little pieces, but a lot of the work I've been doing is like working on my meridian system to really bring down the energy, to anchor all of this energy. So you saying that is amazing, because I think I was already doing it, but this book is about bringing those transmissions down and activating others with them. And I know that there's a phrase that you always say in your activations, which I love, and it's like any latent keys, codes, or something else, gifts that I have in my system, right? And the way that you do it, which is so powerful, is you have this massive field. We're just like fucking loving on each other at the moment. It's so good. But you have this massive field of information that you, from all these different places that you've gone. And this is what an activator, guys, is. And then you go into a session with a client, or you have a recording or something going on, and then their soul knows which codes are the ones within your field to receive from.
That's my intention. Yeah. And you did a fucking marvelous bang up job with receiving them. That's why, and I was able to keep going higher because you were able to receive more and more. And usually I'm gearing for the audience what they can receive, and you were just like more. Okay.
Get down. Yeah, it's a bit of it's too much sometimes. The question that's coming in to me for me to ask you is, I think we listen a lot. Sorry, a lot of people who listen to my podcast, and definitely yours, are very, well, I'm making an assumption, but I believe they receive a lot, right? And so the question is then for me, I know you do a lot of you've got a Chinese medicine background, a lot of Qigong, that sort of thing. How do we optimize the body to be able to actually receive this information? Because for me, I would receive a lot, like I'm always receiving, and it would wipe me out. Like the first 3 years of my Kundalini rising, I was incapacitated. And I still, as I'm coming up against higher and higher volumes with this energy, it wipes me out. And so I'm curious, like, there's a lot in our community, I believe, who are just like, I want to receive activations and activations and activations and star codes, but they're not really anchoring and embodying that. So just riff on that for me. What is that bringing up for you as I'm saying that?
Beck, I'm so grateful you started here. So dig you, sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in a cleanse right now. And I'm on my second week of a cleanse detox. And I bring that up because it's one of the ways. So I have always been about the body, right? I'm a certified personal trainer. I've been a gym rat for decades. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm a Qigong teacher. I'm about the body. I'm not about like, let's connect with the keys and codes and connect with the galactic teams and the unconditional loving angels and come out of our body. No, fucking let's clear the traumas that make you hesitant to drop all the way down to your anus so that you can be here present and bringing that light down and making the most out of these most intense yet auspicious times on the planet like never before. This is considered our greatest evolutionary leap ever. And so many people, and it's a pattern that is from what I just said. It's a trauma, whether it's been a past life where you've been in like a monastery as a monk and you haven't had money and you'd made vows of austerity and vows of poverty and vows of celibacy, or you've had trauma where when you were born, mom was having a problem when you were in the womb, or you've had problems when outside the womb, now an embryo, not an embryo, now an infant or a toddler, and you were abandoned. There's all of these things that affect the formation of the root chakra, and those will make you not want to ground in your body. And I just ripped off like 5 to 10 of the many, right? So what that shows up is somebody who's extra heady, intellectual, relies on that for their success, even though we also have conditioning for that. But what also shows up are the people in the spiritual community or the new age or new thought, or however you refer to it, where they just want to keep going up, like you're saying, and not integrate. So one of the things that I am aware of, so I'm given when people hear this, it will be after the equinox, but I know that this equinox is bringing in a whole new range of energy. And April is meant to be the peak month, one of the peak months of 2024. And this is an incredible year in the year of the wood dragon. And we're getting higher and higher influxes. Like there's a load of blue light that's been coming in onto the planet since it feels like about the start of the year. And so here's something else. About a month ago, before I started this cleanse. Now I do this every night before I go to sleep, asking for the protection from interference, the helping me have the most restful, healing, regenerative, restorative, rejuvenative sleep where I wake up excited to be in my body the next day, so that I'm not traveling, because I've had clients in the past, many of them who have said, I can't sleep at night. Hold on, I'm gonna cough. There's a clearing happening. Yeah. You guys, my yoga class, I was nicknamed coughing yoga because this is what happens when I'm clearing people. This is interesting.
Mine
So
is
what
yawning and burping. So coughing's more pleasant than burping, that's for sure. I've been yawning over here, guys. So there's a lot clearing. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, I'm upgrading you guys as I'm talking. Like, we can maybe go into a formal upgrade of clearing and activation later, and you can hear what Bec was talking about and what she experienced. You can have that yourself. But even when I talk, I'm moving energy and I'm clearing, because that is the overall intention of my being in a body. Yeah. So what I'm getting at, though, is even the way you go to sleep at night, the Chinese call it little death every time we go to sleep. Yeah. So I know that one of the things I've been doing that's helped me connect with the energies of that and seeing the rise in them and seeing the need to work with the body even more right now to help in exactly the way that you're asking this question for is I've been asking Archangel Metatron to take me to the best healing ashram at night that will give me the healing, the exact healing I most need. And so I did that I'm still doing it, but there was about 2 weeks ago, about a 7-day, 10-day period where I woke up feeling like I was in a diamond. Now I do work with the diamond grid anyway, but it,
So I'm
it was
like, I've got so much diamond frequency stuff going on right now. Of course you said diamond. Of course you did. Sorry. Was it a black diamond? I'm curious. The diamond that you in, was it like a diamond diamond? Or was it black?
not black.
Not
I
black.
can
Okay.
resonate with the black diamond. Because that's an experience I had in a guided visualization yesterday. But just to complete answering your question, in order to really have the keys and the codes, this higher self's integration of the keys and the codes to infiltrate all parts of your life, like all of a sudden you get a new idea and you actually follow through with it and write that book or start that business or want to help get that new product out that helps people feel happier and lighter to more people. So you open up an affiliate business as a new income stream, like to ground in the new era is what I'm all about and what we're all about, and so you can't do it if you're just all about the keys and the codes. It has to come down into your body and you'll be a lot happier too. And there's health. I mean, paying attention to the food. I'm sorry to say this because I know it might sound like it's nagging, but I know some of you need to hear this.
I need
The
to hear this. Yeah.
in our bodies is vibrational.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so the more life force there is in a body, I'm not saying go raw necessarily, but the more life force there is in food, the less you nuking out the nutrients, the less you cook it. And like steaming's good. I'm not going to go into like the whole dietary thing, right? I mean, I have a huge background in fitness nutrition and tonic herbalism from the Ayurvedic and the traditional Chinese system, but ashwagandha is a really good adaptogenic, so your body can handle the stress. Gynostemma, which comes in a tea called spring dragon tea from dragonherbs.com. That's really good too because it's a dual action. If your central nervous system is too wound up, it'll relax you. If you're not wound up enough, it'll bring you up. So it's a dual directional adaptogen. That's gynostemma, and it's in spring dragon tea. It's also a longevity component. So having adaptogens to help your body adapt to the stress, that's just two of them. MAC is another one. I don't typically just will out my nutritional information. In fact, people usually, until they work with me at the mastermind level, I don't give it out. But you asked such a great question. Our bodies are going through a massive adjustment right now, and there's a lot of light that wants to come in. And what's going to happen is the less clean you are internally, the more you're going to feel sluggish, the more you're going to have a possible crisis in order to clear out that density or that stuck energy in the body. So whether that's like something comes to the surface as a skin tag or something comes to the surface as like a disease or a problem, or like toxins are coming to the surface in order to have us cleaner, because we need to be cleaner in order to take in this higher light and ground it in a new way. I'm not saying that it's going to cause problems for people. This new light is exquisite. It's beautiful. But for our bodies to best work with it, to make the most of it, I'm going to go up a notch here. Instead of not just like looking at like what the problem could be if you're not taking good care of your body and paying attention to what you're taking in. Water too, by the way. Also that shower head, get a filter so you're not getting any additives at the pineal gland or pituitary gland. Like there's all these different aspects, making sure you're drinking enough clean water, if not coconut water, if not put a granule of sea salt in the water so that you get hydrated with all the whole mineral spectrum in a little granule of sea salt. The whole mineral profile is in that one coarse granule of sea salt. If you put that in the water, that's an electrolyte. Making sure you're hydrated enough is also going to help you take in all of the light that's going to be coming in. I'm going to stop. How's that for a start?
That's like, honestly, it's a slap in the face that I need, because I've been my guidance team, my higher self, like everything in me has been like, you need to clean up your fucking diet, Beck. Like, I know I need to. I have a sugar problem and I drink a lot of coffee. And I've known that that's my next level for a long time, and I've been avoiding it. So having those, like, the reminder for me of like, you can call in all this energy and like your body's not functioning optimally. So it's so good. And we forget on this path that our bodies the holds the keys and the codes for ascension. Like, it's in the body, it's not out of the body. So thank you. And it's interesting, I've actually broken out. I've been getting a lot of pimples lately, and I think it's how my body's trying to process, and I've been like, what the hell? Yeah. So it's good to know. All right, let's just see. Let's see. Where is
I
this
want to
going?
come back to something though. I know you want to go up, but hold on a second,
Yeah.
because Becky, something, thank you. You're saying something just there that is so much what I've been hearing in my guidance for about, like, on and off throughout the years of doing this work for serving the masses, as opposed to like a smaller client-based in-person business only that I used to do. And it's now been peaking for like the last 2 months. Under this last moon and this new moon, there's something around doing what you know you need to do. I even did a video on for my YouTube channel like 2 weeks ago, and it has a lot of hits on it because it's so much apparently what people need to hear, and that you have to allow yourself to choose what you know you need to do, even though you don't want to do it. So there's like this energy of, nah, no, I don't want to. And that whining and the resistance, the ego mind does. So what if you did it gradually? Like, it's not get rid of the coffee. Like, so I've seen so many people throughout the decades of doing this work, just like go like extreme. I'm going to never drink coffee again. Fuck you. Like, would you get a grip on the reality of change and transformation in the process? That really happens. I love you, but really, come on. That's the ego mind being an ass. And the ego mind is the monkey mind. And just rein it in and say, okay, condition it. Like, I'm just not going to have this chocolate. I'm not going to have this coffee. Why don't I have this piece of pure dark chocolate? It is a stimulant, but the cacao will give me the vitality and the boost that the coffee would. So like making healthy substitutes. You don't have to, like, I'm not talking about going in a desert or like, going on a fast only. There's all these other ways and change. Yeah, in ways that aren't punishing. And so like even all of the conclusions you have around, like, if I'm going to clean up my diet, it's going to be punishing and I'm going to have to like become this person I don't want to become. All of that is it's where I spend so much of the territory of what I do. It's clearing out those assumptions that we have, both that we hear, but more so the thoughts we don't hear, that stop us from making higher choices that will bring our evolution so much further along and so much higher. So like we sit in these excuses and these rationalizations and justifying conversations with ourselves, or we just don't choose what we know we need to be choosing, and we'll go over here and waste like a year or two, or cause some other bigger problem, instead of just like, I hear your guidance. Okay. And so like when you make that choice, the victory juice that runs throughout your body is worth the, okay, because it helps with the discipline, because then something new opens up, so it's like, I don't know. I know it is the nature of the ego mind. I've talked about this for decades. It doesn't like change, so it resists change, right? So it wants to stay the same. It likes the sofa. It likes the status quo. It doesn't want the change. So it inherently is going to resist any kind of change. It's not you. It's the ego mind, the whining and the whinging that goes on. But if you could just talk back to it and say, I hear you, I get it. I'm going to do this though. And you are going to end up liking this. Like, just here and there, patches of discipline, not like some radical change where you go live in an ashram for 3 months and you come back completely radically transformed for the rest of your life. It's not like this extreme thinking. It's like, what choice can I make in the next 5 minutes? What choice can I make in my next meal? What choice can I make in my next trip to the health food store? That's different, that will nurture me more. Just slow it down, you guys.
I love that. And I've got a couple of weeks ago, I bought this big bag of ceremonial cacao, and I'm like, right, first thing I'm going to do is swap out my morning coffee, and then we're going to go from there. Like, instead of having 2 coffees a day, I'm going to have 1 cacao, 1 coffee, and it's been sitting in my cupboard, and I've been adding it to my coffee. So
yeah,
I'm having both. So soon I'll wean off the coffee. But it's so true. Like, we think that it has to be this big drastic thing, and it doesn't. And so thank you for saying that. And I like, it's given me we can do this, like little small things. And like inside me, I fucking know how good it feels to be off sugar, off all those things, because I did a candida cleanse years ago, and after the hell that was the first couple of weeks, I was like, I feel amazing, right? So I think, well, here it is. So I think it's a self-sabotage thing of being in our power. Like we know that that's going to bring us into our highest power. Okay, that's what it is for me anyway, and I'm calling it out and I see it. That's the thing I know I need to do. And I think maybe this is the energy, and it's like very Plutonian energy. We're avoiding that thing that we know we need to do to step into our full power. Why we're avoiding stepping into our full power is all the stuff that we're trying to avoid in the body, right? So
Yeah,
just let that land for a
nice.
second.
Good
Yeah.
one.
I'm like,
Isn't
oh,
it
I see.
phenomenal though, seeing that people are more afraid of their power than in their light than they're afraid of fear?
Yeah.
It's so wild. I've been working with that. Like in those, yeah, I could go on and on. I won't about that because it's so fascinating to me. Like these powerhouses like yourself, Beck, and like just even honestly, I've had milder versions of this, but I've not really had this myself. I've always just, after like late teens, when I had like two times that my intuition said do this and I ignored it. And I saw the fucking mayhem that resulted. I knew, so I listened to my guidance. And so I don't tend to, I love bringing in more light. And I love seeing what it's going to do. And I love change. And I love like, it's hard to pin me down. It's
Mhm.
part of why I'm still single and always have been. I mean, like I've
Mhm.
had relationships, but never married, kids, not my route. Um, so this is another area too, though. It's like where there's the conclusions in the mind that you hear and don't hear of who you're going to have to be when you're that powerful.
Oh, yeah, that landed.
Trips
Absolutely.
people
Yeah.
up.
Oh, I want to throw up. That's like, yeah. Hmm.
And it's like I will. Here's five. All right. One, I'm going to lose that person I love so much. Two, I'm going to lose the comfort that I have when I get to just do what I want to do. Three, I'm going to have to give up stuff that I don't want to give up. Four, people are going to see me and really see me for who I am. And I don't want that. I don't want to be vulnerable. Five, I'm not going to be able to be as lazy as I want to be. Six, it's going to need ridiculous amounts of self-discipline. Seven, I'm going to end up looking really different and seeming really different and losing all my friends and people are going to think I'm whacked. Eight, I mean, like, I'll keep going.
8, I'm going to turn into an asshole. 8, the power is going to corrupt me and I'm going to turn into a dick. That's my one. That's a big, I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm not going to be a dick.
Yeah.
I get it. Right. So I hear you. And I think it's so powerful to speak into that. Right. Because I mean, for me, stepping into my power has always been this thing that's like a big fucking thing I come up against every time I'm coming into a new level of energy or a new level of my mission. Right. It's like ever present, it's omnipresent, this internal fear of being in my power. I'm curious if you had it to this degree that I mean, for me, it's like my biggest thing for sure. It's like constant. If you had this battle of like the fear of to
Never.
step into your gifts, that's
No,
amazing.
I know.
That is
I'm different.
amazing.
I am really different. I
Yeah.
really am. I was made for this. I've done this work in many lifetimes. I'm not somebody with a trauma drama story in my past childhood, learned some natural healing technique to get over it. I don't have a story to
Mm-hmm.
tell about my journey,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, but I'm making fun of it,
Yeah.
but
No, it's
here's
great.
what
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
there's I want to drop this in because what if it's just you're rising to a new level of your power? It's not that you're afraid of your power.
Yeah.
In your example you just gave, so the sisters of the sacred spiral, it's this concept, right? Like we
Mm-hmm.
expand and then as the spiral goes around, more shadow, gain more power. That's not as comfortable as when it's all the expansive woohoo energetic,
Mm-hmm.
so what if it's just every time when you're growing and you're just expanding more, you're seeing another part of you that could be transformed.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I love that. I love that. And that's I tend to take on that. I know that it's not inevitable, but I know the process. I know my cycle now. I'm like, okay, I can see why this is happening. I'm about to release this book. Like my energy is like upgrading. I get it. I get it. It's cool. And I'm very compassionate with myself now. But it was a very big source of frustration. I'm just curious if like maybe you had no lifetimes where you're an asshole or like maybe you
I don't
didn't abuse
honestly
that
think I
power. And
did.
so you
I
didn't?
don't think I
No,
did.
I
I've
don't
spent
think you
a lot of
did.
time asking that question. Thanks, Beck.
No, no,
And I
genuine. I
trust
don't
your
feel that.
intuition.
Yeah, yeah,
I do.
because
Very few people who I trust their intuition, but yeah.
I had a lot of karma to clear, like a lot of karma to clear, and I'm okay with that because I think I'm gonna get really vulnerable. I don't really talk about this on here, but something I've really realized in the past couple months as I'm writing this book and working on this stuff is like that karma that I've been clearing has made me fucking humble, right? It has, because I've had to look at how corrupt people can be with this power. And it's not people, it's like myself in other timelines. And so in a way, I'm so grateful that I have this darkness within me and these timelines of myself, because it's really humbled me, right? And I'm not saying that you're not humble, like absolutely not. But for
No
me,
worries.
it was like, it's grace for me to go through the initiations that I have, and like constantly having to go through this loop. I see it as grace, because I think there is maybe a tendency in me somewhere to like take that power and be a dick. So I'm like, it's okay. It's okay if it's gonna be a slower process, or I have to go through this. Because for me, it's like I came into this life with this agreement with my guides, with my team. I was like, give me as many initiations as I need to make sure that I don't turn out like that, right? I don't abuse the power. I don't get corrupt. Like, make sure we're gonna make sure this time that I do it right. So it's kind of, I don't see it as like poor me, like there's all these power struggles. I kind of see it as like I'm in a way I'm grateful, because I think people with a lot of power can get corrupt. So it's amazing, and maybe it's just not in your nature. But I definitely have seen it in myself. So it's
So
yeah.
I want to, you're listening to Reasonable Dragons. In that book, I explored initiation because I was uncomfortable with the word choice, initiation. And one of the things that I talk about in there is that if we're going to be given the power to create, like literally the ability, because that signature program I have, Magic, Manifestation, and Money Flow,
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally talking, showing, tweaking, turning, transforming, activating, clearing people's consciousness and energy to be able to manifest as if by magic, like manifest on demand.
Alchemists, yeah.
Yeah, and exactly. And then at the mastermind level, for the like quarter to a third of the people I invite, and we're in a agreement that it's an alignment for them to go into the mastermind and start to get trained as a vibrational upgrade practitioner. That really is when they start to learn to be able to create on demand. And if we're going to be able to do that, we've got to make sure that it's not going to be corrupt, like you're talking about. Like, you've got to be pure if you're going to be given the power to create. So you've got to go through these initiations, right? To make sure you can be trusted with that power.
Yes.
So I worked through that. Like, there's this painting in this one inn that was like started in the 1200s, and it's still on the high street in Glastonbury, England. And it's of a long blonde woman with a sword knighting, and it's supposed to be Guinevere and King Arthur. And for me, like, I have it on a vision board, and it's what I think of when I think of initiation, because it's an initiation into like more of your nobility, more of your regality. And that's like in great part the energetics of the dragon with this year of the dragon. I want to suggest though, you're going to get to a point, that you don't need to clear any more karma. You're going to get to a point where you're not going to have what you just said going on. You're going to know you can trust yourself with this power to create, and that you won't get corrupt. And I want to add this in too, because there is so much that I could talk about right now about how I see people in the spiritual community abuse themselves. And one of them is what you just did, where you're so good that, and you want to make sure you're so pure that you hold yourself to such an account that motherfucker over there would never. But it's stopping you from creating something beautiful that your genius would create and put out into the world, while that person over there is creating something destructive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is this beautiful softness and purity to the majority of folks in the spiritual community. I'm using that for a label. I'm sorry. Please forgive me, those of you who have any offense from that. Whatever you want to label it, just say it in your head or out loud when I'm saying spiritual community. Light workers, whatever, light warriors. But there's so much, like, even in the thing of the law of attraction, and you have something boo-hao, as we say in Chinese, not okay, boo-hao, to happen, and you're like, why would I create breast cancer? Why would I create this crazy invasion that I have to get a restraining order against this guy? Why would I create this kind of destructiveness? Why would I call this kind of person into my life? This is where I differ from the other metaphysical teachers around there and the new thought teachers, is that at least 10% is random and karma kicking in. A lot of the times in age 30 and 40, your karma kicks in, and you got to just start dealing with it. So there's like randomness that just can't be controlled, right? But you are responsible for the other stuff. You are creating the majority of it. But I see people like just spend years in that.
Obsessive.
Why would I create that?
Yeah. That's me. So you're speaking to me, because I've been there, and I've been like, it's like, so before the spiritual awakening, we don't take any fucking responsibility and we're in victim. And then it's like overtaking responsibility for literally, I created every single little thing. And like, oh my God, I created that. Now I have to go find the root of why I created that. And what's it, I get that because it's exhausting. And so,
Totally.
yeah, now I've just been like, I clock it. That happened. Okay, good to know. I'm going to make a decision to maybe not create that in the future. But what you said about there being karma and various other things that for me, it's like a lot of this stuff has felt like, but I've been so consciously trying to not create that. Then how have I created that? And it's really been karma for me. So thank you for saying that. And I think it's so important to say that because, I don't actually think it's a lot of people. I think this is like a small fraction of people in the spiritual community, because when I talk about this stuff, I don't get a lot of people being like, yeah, I get that. Like they're really hard on themselves. And I think it's people they tend to be overachieving types anyway, or perfectionists, and they go really hard on themselves. And I think it's not everyone has that quality or that desire to like evolutional growth is not their highest desire in life, right? So they're not that hard on themselves. But for me, it's like literally I'm so fucking hard on myself sometimes, because for me, my own growth and expansion is my number one value, priority, purpose for existence, right? So I don't think that's everyone, but definitely resonates with me, right? Like that oh my God, obsessive. But I think it's also, it's not necessarily a bad thing to be self-aware and to be always striving to be better. But I think it could be at the risk of always feeling like there's more healing to do. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve, I have to fix myself before I have anything. So thank you for speaking into that. It's so true. Can get us into some loops. I've definitely seen myself. Are you ready to talk about like sacred sites and grid work and that sort of magic?
Yeah, we're in new times. Let's bring in the new
Mhm.
energy. All of that stuff that we're talking about feels
Mhm.
old to me. Like
Yeah.
I don't ever feel myself as a healer. I just was even talking to somebody who wanted to work with me in my signature program, and I'm like, I'm not doing healing.
Mhm.
Like there'll be healing that will happen, but it's not about healing.
Love it. Yeah.
I'm cussing so much in our interview, and I'm just talking so raw.
Oh,
So
I
so
love
be
it.
it. I'm kind of on quasi vacation. I'm attempting to take less work and more play this week. And so that's how you get me.
That's my energy. So I mean, my audience is going to vibe
Yeah.
with that. That's how I am. I love it. Yeah. So I love what you just said, because it's almost like I can't remember what it was that I was listening to or reading, or something was on the lines of like, by working with this new energy, it automatically upgrades and heals you. And it's just like things fall away. I think it was when I was working with when I was working with Sabrina Lynn in rewilding. Have you ever heard of Sabrina Lynn and rewilding for women?
Rewilding. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was working for them or with them for a while, and when I came in, it was a dragon energy. That's what they were doing, the dragon sessions, and they were talking about working with dragon energy. And it's this alchemical energy, is this new energy that's she puts it as dragon energy, but it's this energy that we're talking about, the new frequencies, the new energies. Working with it, you literally get cleared just from like working. You don't have to consciously be like, I'm going to now go and work on all my things. It's like just by working with this new energy and setting the intention to work with this new energy, it aligns you with your highest good, your highest potential, your highest, so it's like the energy itself is just, you cannot wield and work with this new energy and not get immediately cleared, which is what it's also just had a download come in, or like they were showing me all these solar flares and the high energies hitting the planet. Like we cannot be like receiving them and not getting cleared. Like it's just not possible. It like literally just happens because our bodies are receiving them, and then so it's going to have to push out any of the lower stuff. So it's like we don't have to then go searching for what do I need to clear to reach my highest potential. We just need to open to receive the transmission of the light or the new energies or the frequencies, or go to a sacred site and be like, show me let's bring in all the juicy codes. Because just by the effect of working with it, we're going through a transformation. What's pinging for you as I'm saying that?
That's fabulous. What you just said.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really revolutionary, when I think about like how much I say my joy, even on the call I just had, that I just referred to, I'm in my joy zone when I am exploring the new possibilities, and yet, like, if we look at what we were just doing for the first half of this, I mean, I'm totally open to what you're saying, and I'm wanting it to be received by me, and it is received. It's not that I'm blocking it out. My system's wanting to integrate it because something new wants to form from it. So thank you for letting me just explore this verbally.
Yeah.
Um, when we look at like the first half of us talking and like the thoughts that we can have, the ones that we even hear, because, you know, as you know, I talk so much about that back of the house consciousness that correlates with the different chakras in our subtle energy system. So it doesn't just sit up in the back of the head, right? Depending on what part of life that's about, that consciousness chunk, that block is about. So I know that the stats are 85%, I go 95% of our daily choices of the average person are made from thoughts we don't hear.
Mhm.
So if what I've been, think if you're holding the space. So if what
I'm
I've been,
watching the cogs going, and I'm like, I'm just gonna reach a beautiful conclusion here. Yeah.
thank you for holding the space back. So if what I've been doing is focusing on the beliefs and the thoughts of why someone won't choose more, why someone won't allow themselves to receive more, why someone won't expand more, why someone won't have more than enough money, why someone won't have more than enough vitality. I go to all of the causes that's causing them to choose at this level with like a sense of webbing restriction so that they can break out of it and have peripheral open more, perceive more possibilities and choose those new possibilities. So that doesn't feel like it's falling away. Like when people get the light and they naturally have, like you said, the clearing,
Mhm.
like I still feel like the integration of how do I now integrate, like you open the whole podcast with, how do
Mhm.
I integrate the light into my life? Like it's not just about when I'm on that Zoom with the spiritual people.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah. I think for me, yes, what you're saying, yes, those things are still present. I think what happens personally is it brings up those deep subconscious things that we're not looking at. So they're so loud and they're so obvious and they're so in our face. So we understand this web that you were talking about, and then we can start to dismantle it. So I'm not saying that just by working with it magically, like it just goes away, but it's more like it brings that stuff up really beautifully so we don't have to go searching for it, is what my experience has been. Like it's like I don't need to go looking at what part of my shadow is afraid of being in my power, because it's coming up against my fucking face every day. Like here it is, here it is, here it is, right? So I'm
God
not having
bless.
to search it, you know.
I do. And I was saying that years ago. Here, this is for you.
Oh, thank you. She has given me a rose.
I was saying that years ago, like, about the digging and about like, I mean, that's what I've been doing all this time amongst many other things, right? Is going in where people haven't been able to see their hidden blocks and helping them see it. So this will make my job a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Because then how do I release it? And I've heard too, some people saying like all karma is now neutralized. I don't believe that either. There's so much shite that's
Mm-hmm.
community.
It's interesting because I had that download too about a year ago. I'm not even kidding. It came in and it was like karma. It wasn't that it was neutralized. It was that karma operates differently. Something came in
Yes, I
around
got
that.
that too.
Hmm.
Yes.
And it can be really quick, and a lot of it is irrelevant, right? And but then in my life, after receiving that, I was like, fuck yeah, karma doesn't exist. It's gonna be so much easier. But then actually I saw I was still coming up against a lot of karma. I met a karmic guy, we had this whole karmic thing, right? So it's like didn't actually roll out, but
Uh-huh.
it was so clear. It came, I was on a podcast episode with this dude. He was like, let's channel some things. The channel was open. Karma is different. Oh, right. So I received that. I feel like it's a process though, maybe, of there's some of us still clearing through those last little bits of, whatever it
I,
is. I'm not sure about that one
I,
because I
I got a
yeah.
different too. I got it. There were some of us that could complete. So it was around the time a lot of people using the word timeline, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can complete one timeline and skip or jump to another timeline. And then I had the download about karma. Like it's a bit more fluid
Mm-hmm.
rather than like, yeah.
That's what I felt. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are in a really different time. And we've been like, when the years prior to this, we've been building up to this, but this new time we're in, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what I honestly don't know what it's going to look like. I know that the feelings that I get right now is so much is like just a blank slate. you know, like it's, and so it's like what we're choosing right now is creating what it's going to look like to a degree, you know, I mean, because I mean, if so much of what we've been looking at recently is our power to create, it's because we're going to be stepping up more with that power to create what we experience. So maybe like, I was thinking about this in the last 24 hours, how much people like will, when they're doing prayers or when they're doing manifestation work, in air quotes, manifestation work, focusing on a desire they want to co-create, like, doesn't it feel like we have been so entrained and entrenched to ask something outside of ourselves to help with that co-creation? Like, rather than it be, I'm going to have that $2 million project flush by the end of this year. And then our consciousness, our higher self guides us towards having the things come together that are going to help that, you know, or instead of like, universe, can you please help?
Yeah, it's asking for permission rather than us just saying, this is what I desire and show me how to do it, right? And I feel like that's that you said, I think it was you, I was reading something and there was this shift between asking, can I have this? Or am I allowed to have this? Or how can I have that, right? And then being like, this is what I want, show me how to get it, right? And there's, instead of like your guides are telling you what's good for you and whatever, and like what's your highest, it's like you're deciding and you're then conferring with them and the relationship has changed. That was you, wasn't it? That sounds like a you thing. Yeah. And I was like, fuck. Oh my God. Like, what? I've been like giving my power away to my soul team or like to God, being like,
No, it's
I
the old
mean,
paradigm. It's
absolutely.
millennia of that. And that's one of the things that's changing. So you didn't do anything wrong. It's just changing.
Yeah, right. There's a question I want to come back to it because it was like, ask her this. And it's completely off a tangent now. But you were saying something about new energies or old energies. I'm curious, when you go to these sacred sites, it's just come up for me in my brain and I want to explore this concept.
Bring
When
it on.
you're accessing the energies so for me, I was shown that like, or particularly the Mayans, they imprint their consciousness onto the pyramid. And so the pyramid stores part of their consciousness or the codes or the information that they had. Are you perceiving it as it's old information coming back that we weren't at that frequency until recently? So now we're able to access it because they were kind of at a higher frequency in where they were trained or what they were available to. So are you seeing it as like it's ancient technology that's coming back? Or are you seeing it as when we go to these sacred sites, they're opening portals to galactic energy that maybe we weren't available for because it wasn't? I think it's both. Personally, I'm like, actually, as I'm saying it, I'm like, it's both. But I'm curious your take as to like when we're going and we're reading from these sites. Like my interpretation is there's an imprint on the minerals on the rocks. These people have learned how to imprint with their consciousness onto these pyramids. So we're picking up what they learned, what they knew. But some other magic happens there. And so I'm curious for anyone who doesn't do this, like for me, I don't really think too much about it. I have my channel, I do what I'm told to do by my higher self. But for someone who they've never done this process, what's that process for you? And what are you intending on doing when you're going to these sacred sites? And why are they important or potent? Or, I mean, it's also to
Your
do with,
face has changed very different. You look very different right now. It's really interesting. It's like you just totally. I'm gonna
into
get
a Mayan man, maybe.
like you look a little bit more. Yeah, it's different. It's just different.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm getting some more green tea while we speak. So there's different sites with different energies, obviously. I'm gonna just kind of gear up into answering this if you don't mind. And I also teach this, like it's one of the levels of working with me in getting trained as a vibrational upgrade practitioner. It's a dragon master level, which is what you just said about the sites. Like it was only until we were ready that this information opened up again. The dragons are the same way, right? So when I go to stone circles, they all feel different. Some of them have more quartz stones than others. Like I went to one at a sunset that was all quartz stones and it was unbelievable. Then that was in England. There's one I'm thinking of in Ireland that had more granite stones and it had been historically used for harvests in celebrations of abundance. And it had a super fairy, fun, light energy to it. Then there's this like druidic stone circle that I went to in Ireland as well, that had a real galactic feeling to it. Then the ones up in Orkney, the outer islands of Scotland, really tall, thin ones. And then in other stone circles there, they had like a recumbent or a reclining stone, very much for alignment with the moon. So it wasn't even equinoxes, solstices alignment. It was every moon that the circle was used. So part of what I have done is research on how the sites have been used. Yeah. And then, you know, we work with the grid. We do a special processional approach before we even enter the circle. We approach it in a certain way. It brings in some of my Native American training I've done with the medicine wheel communities, as well as some goddess training, and how to walk the land. And then depending on the site we're on, I feel like we always touch. So at the Mayan, like at Chichen Itza, I really love Uxmal. There's a temple of the magician there. And then there's a jaguar temple with like a jaguar right in front of it. And actually,
powerful. That one, really powerful.
Yes. Hot energy. It was kind of ISIS energy, but a South American version of it. And I had a client, a female client there actually, who's from Asia, her and her expat husband. I took them on a special VIP tour and I did her session right on the Jaguar, right? And yeah. So it is both, to answer your question. And it feels like, so I know when I approach these stone circles, I ask, what ancient wisdom can you bring forward that would help us now in these times now?
Yeah.
And I feel like looking at some of the observatories and some of the Mayan sites, and then just like all of the different kinds of alignments that they had, like they had to create a whole new field, astroarchaeologists, to accommodate what the ancients had done with the placement, the alignments of the stone circles with the astrological events or the cosmological events, right? So like there is an element of they knew more than we do now, and there's stuff we got to regain, right? Because, you know, for a variety of reasons, one being their night entertainment was the sky. But there, without going further down that path, because it's so interesting, I could trail off for hours. The galactic element, though, like it feels like, so I was doing a lot of work with this group around Stonehenge for a while. I don't tend to go to Stonehenge a lot, like I've already said. I go to Avebury because you can get up to you can touch them, and it's so much more magical. Stonehenge had lost some of its energy, its magical energy, and with all the solstice celebrations have gotten more respectful. Before it was like, you know, I don't know, big concert kind of energies. We spent a while cleaning the energetics around Stonehenge, and it's starting to come back online. Some of these sites, if they have been hidden, like it's wicked funny over in England, like when I'm taking my students on one of these overnight trips away from Glastonbury where we're housed, they'll like hide. They'll be in a field, like let's say it's a dolmen, right? Like, so it's 4 stones and it's this huge capstone. They're like, how the fuck could that be balancing on that for thousands of years? Like, wow, no idea how it could have happened and how they would have gotten that capstone up and over. You know, what did they have for technology? So it will hide. And I remember like driving by this one like 4 times until the vibrations of everybody in the vehicle was enough that it would reveal itself.
Wow.
It feels elusive like that. Like you have to be ready. You have to be clean enough. You have to be high enough. And you could, and other people just go right into the stone circles and they'll bring their bear, you know, or they'll walk their dogs, you know? So, I mean, it's like, and there's this one stone circle that I know of that is a really great community stone circle that people are constantly walking in the neighborhood, and this is part of their walk, you know, and it's a very community integrated stone circle. It's brilliant. Other ones are way out in the fields and they hide, and other ones you can barely find, and so every site has a different energy to get from it. Some of them are more central to the grid, the major earth grid. Some of them are more outliers. So some of them I've learned can be better used to go to send light throughout the grid more effectively than other ones. But I also feel like and you nodded right when I said this, it's bringing in the ancient wisdom that can help us now. So I'm asking for both the old and the new.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And that's really it. Oh my God, my blah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of
That lines, yeah, I'm like, whoa, that lines up a lot with how I approach it, right? It's like I'm not just there to fucking willy-nilly do whatever. It's like what's going to help us move forward. And I think for me,
course.
the Mayan pieces, they were harmonizers. Like they were had this harmony with the earth, and they were bringing everything
Venus.
into harmony. Yeah, 100%. Yes. So
Right.
that's why their codex is coming back, and that's why I've been instructed to do all this work with them. So thank you. I'm wondering, because we're now going nearly at an hour, and I'm very mindful of your time. Is
Thank
there
you.
anything pinging to do as an activation or some sort of something like that?
Yeah, I feel like I want to gift you one, and of course it's going to help the audience. So I'm being quiet because I'm listening intuitively, as Bec knows. But for those of you, it's just going to be video, right? Not just audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, you guys. Huh. Spec, what do you think of this one? So where you think you know something, letting go of that and opening up to more possibilities.
Done. Let's go. That sounds amazing. Yeah.
Free, does that hit something in your life that
I think moving past like assumptions within myself of like, yeah, it resonates. It's not like a full body like, oh my God, like because you've said things before and I've been like, oh fuck, like I want to throw up. It hasn't had that effect on me, but I'm like, I could see how that would be very beneficial for me moving
in your
forward.
writing
Yeah.
too? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
But I full trust like whatever's come through, like I trust you to know what that is.
thanks. I'm not getting like a huge woohoo about that one either.
Mm-hmm.
There's something else. It's like under that. So you're open to the new. That's not in question. Holding yourself back. Anywhere and everywhere you're holding yourself back.
That feels resonant because my solar plexus is doing bits. So
Okay. I'm not even going to say from. I'm going to just say anywhere and everywhere in your life, you're holding yourself back and limiting yourself where you instead you could be having more and being more and enjoying more. Would you
yeah,
be
that
willing?
resonates. That
Would you be willing
resonates.
to burn up with the flames of transmutation?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm
Cool.
going to be silent for a minute because of the way I went into that, you guys, so I can call in what I need to.
And I'm just going to add like consent mentally if you would like to receive this. You don't have to receive this, but if you would like to receive this, you can receive this.
And it will go beyond you. If whatever
Yeah.
parts aren't needed won't go to work on you, whatever parts are resonant will go to work on you guys. And it does approach the energy you and your body better if you say yes out loud. So I'll start it again. So anywhere and everywhere you're holding yourself back from opening up, from allowing yourself to expand more, from allowing yourself to have and be more, and in ways that will delight you and make your heart sing a little different. Would you be willing to burn up with the flames of transmutation?
Yes.
So this is where you can create, where you're holding yourself back from creating more and being more and rising. So any and all traumas and any and all traumas and their free floating thoughts that are in any way causing this or perpetuating this, if you holding yourself back from choosing more, being more, having more, expanding in ways that will make your heart sing, burning all those traumas up and their ensuing free floating thoughts. Any and all of the imprints from your parents and lineage that's in any way causing you to hold yourself back from choosing more, being more, having more, rising in all areas of your life in ways that will make your heart sing with delight. We're burning up any and all imprints from your parents and ancestry that are in any way causing you to do this, to hold yourself back. Ooh, it's quite strong. Just hit something. Good. Doing good work. All of the conditioning from the trance of the masses that in any way created or perpetuates you holding yourself back in any and all areas of your life, in any and all ways, burning all that conditioning out. So a lot falling off the back at the root and sacral area. So that's really good. That's tribal stuff. As if you don't have the right to feel the way you feel, so you don't choose what you really want. That's clearing out. I don't tend to name everything. Just let you know that. So don't think that's the only thing that's clearing in case anybody does. It's just was super obvious. All karma as appropriate that is in any way causing you to choose less for yourself, to hold yourself back, where you could be choosing more and having more and being more and rising up in ways that will make your heart sing with delight. Let's burn up all that karma that's causing you or perpetuating you choosing less for yourself and holding yourself back. Oh, that's pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah, it's heavy, hey?
Mm. Yeah. All of the contracts, oaths, vows, and swearings across all timelines, lifetimes, and dimensions you've ever taken or made or signed that cause you to choose less for yourself, to block yourself, to stop yourself from choosing more, being more, having more, expanding, rising in ways that'll make your heart sing with delight, burning all of those up.
Oh, good grief. That one is the biggest one out of all of them, I feel. Wow.
So, yeah, it's going way far back. It's hitting you in the sacral. You might find yourself releasing a lot in the toilet after,
Right.
or yeah, maybe being constipated for a little bit before it releases. But it's a contract. Wow. Super strong. Big. And some of you may not be experiencing anything. I'm going to keep doing this. Don't worry about it. You're still getting cleared. If you're not perceiving anything, it's okay. All of the across all levels of your consciousness, whether you hear the thoughts or not, the subconscious, unconscious, and conscious mind level, all of the beliefs, the judgments, the conclusions, the expectations, the storylines, the entrenched storylines, the habitual thought patterns, secret agendas, all expectations and then projections you have, rationalizations, justifications, burning it all up now, whether I've named it or not, that's in any way causing you to choose less for yourself and to block yourself from having more, choosing more, being more, expanding and rising in ways that will make your heart sing with delight. Now we're burning it all up with the flames of transmutation. Ooh.
Yeah, this is a big this is a big clearing.
So some of you may be yawning to burping, itchy, goosebumps, sudden pain somewhere, momentary, lasting just a little bit, heat, tingles, sleepy, spacey, nothing at all. All of that's normal reactions as the energy clears up blockages. Do an inhale, exhale. Yeah, Beck, something's going through the heart. Good. He's got a good heart opening. Some released in the back, some constriction. That's not all that's happened. It's just very. Okay. Y'all, why don't you all do an inhale and exhale cycle through the nostrils only? They have a natural toxin filtration. The mouth doesn't. So no mouth breathers, please. We're not doing cardio. So that way you can receive more and have more clear out. Inhaling. Exhaling through the nostrils. Let's activate the upgrade now. So any and all latent keys and codes within you.
Oh my goodness. If I thought it was like strong before, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is wild.
Inherent talents and ancient wisdom within you. And any and all blessings. And support possible to bring this all into alignment for your highest potential and your highest possibilities to become physically realized. Activating the upgrade now. Bringing it on down, you guys. We go high and then we go low to earth when I say low. Okay, that was fun.
Thank you. Wow. Guys, take a glass
Yeah.
of water after that. Oh, there's a coffee has appeared next to my desk. Someone came in and put a coffee on my desk in the
How
time
great
we
is
were doing
that?
that. I've manifested a coffee.
While you were just like receiving more to open you up to more. Excellent.
Beautiful. I love it. All right. So I feel like we've definitely reached a beautiful conclusion for our session. Thank you. This was so magical. If people want to find you, I'm going to put some links down in the show notes, but if you want to just verbally tell them where they might be able to find you.
Vibrationalupgrade.com. We also have a free Facebook group by the same name. I have a YouTube channel, Allison with 1L, J middle initial KAY. I'm also on Amazon that way. 4 books that are available there. And I invite you guys in to go to my shop. There's products in there. You can get started right away with a series of clearings and activations. It's brilliant. The stuff I'm really glad that we did that, what we just did, because I know that that's part of what's happening right now, coming up in April too, is wherever you're holding yourself back, let's just stop that noise already and let yourself like go so we can all like rise, So anything and everything that you can choose to let yourself do that, I mean, the shop, you could go there and buy something, or you could just listen to this over and over again. So blessings to you all. Thank you.
Thank you
For being the
for
special
being here.
you be. Thank you.
Beautiful souls. Thank you for listening. Give us a subscribe, a like, a comment. If this resonates with you, please let us know. And until next time, I love you.
Bye. Namaste.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Cracked Open. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share with a friend if this episode has served you in any way. For more information about the work that I do or to get in touch with me, read the show notes or head to becmylonas.com. Until next time, beautiful soul.